Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Really, Nishmas Mirosi Ruspas Mordechai. Thanks, Yosef, for not sending me any sponsors today. Really appreciate it. Now he's going to tell me there's some sponsors. Rabbi Sai, yesterday was an amazing, amazing day. I was in Miami, and I want to read to you an email that I got from someone from Miami. According to two people, there were 80 people in Miami. 80 people. I made fun of you guys. I said, Chicago could barely, not you guys, because you guys actually come, but Chicago in general. And we got to make a little bit of a competition here. I'm not going to leave here until we have, 70, 80 guys. How Chicago less than Miami? It doesn't make any sense. And a guy there made his hundreds of square feet, and he said, this is the designated MDY headquarters. That's what he said, Sandy Saka. Now listen to this. If I only went to Miami to hear Sandy Saka say this following the statement, he comes over to me and says, remember that time you said that we don't come to this world to be yoitzazayin. We need to go above and beyond. He says, you know what? Since you said it, I learned the daf before I come this year. There's a guy that he says in every area of his life, he sees improvement because of that one statement. And if I only came to Miami for this guy right over here, Max, who brought a tear to my eye or more. Dear Reb Eli, as I'm new to the shir, I waited a bit before writing to you. Recently was to meet you in Miami after discovering your shir and this wonderful community. It's not been so easy or fun throughout this tough time in the world, but bright spots always sprout when things seem dark. Your shir is one of those. I'm one of the famous traumatized high schoolers who you speak of, who essentially abandoned Gemara for less complicated subjects that one could more easily grasp, enjoy, and conclude. I've not made a siyum in over 20 years. I thought I had it all figured out. Learning did not have to include Shas. This year and Chevra is quickly changing all of that. I just completed the first parak of Sukkah. My family looks up late at night and sees me looking at the screen, cracking up while wearing headphones with an open Gemara. That is not the way I ever thought I would get back into the game, but here we are. And here I pledge to stay for many siyumim to come. I realize this email will soon find its way into the bottomless pit under your desk where all emails go to die. I do have a huge amount here that I need to read tonight. Sure, as long as she's giving permission, we're going. No. But before that happens, no, the irony isn't lost on me, and no doubt it isn't lost on Menachem Seltz, who surely one day will put it all down in the bestseller in only the way he can. While you're toiling and teaching us about listen to this, Rabbis, I love this. While you're toiling and teaching us about building walls, including ones that aren't even physically in existence, you, together with your wonderful team, are demolishing walls, the walls that sometimes, sadly, get placed between Jews and the Gemara. Learning, and yes, the walls that get placed between strangers and inhibit camaraderie. May Hashem give you the strength to continue to do this for as long as your heart desires. Thank you for your efforts. And listen to this, Rabbi Isai. And thank you for making Gemara great again. Making Gemara great again, Max. I love you. Just for that, it was worth coming to Miami. We only have 5 sponsors today, Rabbi Isai, but it was worth reading the email before the sponsors. Anonymously.
Eli, is it really not on YouTube?
Huh? What'd you say?
You're really not on YouTube?
I'm really
You're
not.
You're really not streaming YouTube?
Really not. You have any other questions?
Gary's gonna kill me.
Who's gonna kill you?
How you feeling? How you feeling?
I'm pretty tired. I got home at 4 a.m. Anonymously, Refuah Shelaima and a shidduch for Penina, Chaya bas Baila, Refuah Shelaima and a shidduch for Uriel Moshe ben Bryna. Stephen burack, health and well-being for the family. לעילוי Nishmas, Moshe Chaim ben Akiva. Chaim, who are you, Chaim? Can you please tell me who you are? In honor of Reb Eli. Number of times already, we have this anonymous Chaim. I don't know who he is. Anonymously, לעילוי Nishmas Rav Aaron ben Rav Yisachar Doiv, Belza, the Belza Rebbe. So Yishkar Chaim, really appreciate it, whoever you are. Paris HaChodesh, Michael Benmeleh wasn't able to make it last night, even though we were in Miami. There were a number of people that drove him from Boca over an hour. In memory of his mother, Devora Faige shmuel and father-in-law Menachem, Mendel, Ben Elchanan, and in the merit to make it to Yerushalayim for Rosh Hashanah this year. Amen. Yerushalayim, Uman. Whatever he wants. Chaya. Here's another one, Rabbi Isai. We're on a roll. Listen to this email from Jeffrey Rosenberg. Thanks for bringing this text to me. I don't know what that means. First, I don't consider myself religious, but always aware of my Jewish heritage. I spent so much time and money searching for something I called spirituality, but they were always missing something. There's so much fluff out there, and there was no substance. I started exploring sites like Sefaria, and that's how you pronounce it? Sefaria, and Torah Anytime to get closer to the source materials and original texts, and not some guru distilling information. I admit I was attracted to the free volume of Talmud since I had never had an opportunity to study this growing up. It was just a set of books I would see in a library. I'm now looking forward every day to actually reading a full daf, and even when I get lost, I seem to be able to find my place again very fast. Either I did actually learn something in Hebrew school as a kid, or the words are truly guiding me back to my roots. I want to also share something a little bit more personal. Living in California, I normally end my workday with a substance that is legal here to cut the edge off my stress. Since I started the daf with Sukkah, I wanted to be fully present and I have replaced it with your shir. Since I started the daf with Sukkah, I wanted to be fully present and I have replaced it with your shir. I may not understand everything yet, but I know that showing up every day has been one of the best things for me, both physically and spiritually. Best, Jeffrey Rosenberg from California. Unbelievable stuff, our boyfriend. Now you know why we read these emails. All the stuff. All right, there's a lot more, but we don't have time really. This is Eitan Merwis. You know Eitan? Listen to this. He's in the middle of bike for Chai, which I was on the first, I believe the very first one they've ever done with Louis Pullum around Lake Tau. And here he is doing Chazara, he writes, on his bike. Must be a very slow biker. I want to tell you something. That email, the guy got a free Gemara, Jeffrey, got a free Gemara. Yesterday in the shir I mentioned, I don't know if you were watching, Gemara says, this is the size of a coin, that's the zuz. On the top, the sun shines through and the rays spread and come 4 times the size, the istra on the bottom. And I said, everybody take it to where they want to take it. But here's the beautiful, this was the Gemara yesterday. Here's a beautiful example. A guy spent $25 on a Gemara for Jeffrey, and who knows what's going to happen to Jeffrey? Whether it's him, his children, his life, everything. For $25, you could change a guy's life. That's kazuzah, mamish, kazuz, 25 cents, $25. It's all nothing. It's narishkeit compared. Imagine the guy finishes Shas, finishes a Masech. It's unbelievable.
Reb Eli, Jeff is on now.
He is?
Yep, I just spotted him.
Jeffrey, everybody, want to see what Jeffrey looks like? Here he is in Chicago. All right, Jeff, I appreciate the email. It's a beautiful email. Thank you. Hopefully we finish the Masechta together and more. And I want to say that there's one more thing. I know that we ran out of time here. I don't know if I can read all this. This guy's son, Ephraim, got him hooked to the shir. He loves being on Zoom, but if he misses it, he can catch it up later online. And he actually went back. He started with us recently. Where did he start? I don't even remember. But he went all the way back to Bracha. He started from B'chayras. Not Barachas, B'chayras. That's when he started the Daf. But he went back to Brachas with us because he could go back. And basically, he's bringing up something. I got 4 emails. Yesterday was probably, in as long as I can remember, Shalom Aleichem, since come to the front there. As long as I can remember, it was one of the only times that my head was literally spinning because I woke up really early to get the flight and learn before I fly and everything. And I forgot to drink my coffee, and my head during shir was spinning. I'm not making excuses, but I said a shtos, and I got 4 emails, and I'm happy I got those emails. No, Shiva, come here. You know, so I'm going to say the Maisa then, and you're going to have to come here and then testify this is a true story. All right, we'll say the Maisa. Are you saying for the whole shir? Just now? Boy, I got to tell you a story. My father was a Rebbe in Chaya. And this is a famous story, but we have an aide over here. I'm going to have to call up the aide, even though he doesn't want to, but we have to. I was a kid, maybe 4 years old, in the bungalow colony of Shar Yosef. And why do I say the story? It has to do with today's Gemara. Today's first Mishnah, we're going to talk about building a sukkah on top of a tree. How? What a coincidence. What a coincidence. Why? The sukkah on top of it, how do you build a sukkah on top of a tree? You take a plank of wood and you make a nice floor on top of it. You build a treehouse. So I was 4 years old. I wanted to build a treehouse on Shabbos Kodesh. And I remember the thought going through my mind, should I build on Shabbos? I know it's usher, but I'm still a kid and I could do it anyway. And there I am with Yitzi Sussman and some of my buddies. And we go into the woods of the bungalow of Yeshiva, Shar Yosef. And I see a beautiful plank of wood. You guys know the story, but for the new guys, a nice plank of wood, a nice piece of plywood. I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is the perfect floor for my treehouse. So I walk over to the plank of wood and I lift it up. It's heavy, and I start walking with it, like to lift it up. Little did I know that this is the cover to the entire bungalow sewer system. And I fell into the cesspool, and the plank of wood slammed down shut on me. And my friends, who were only 4 years old at the time, they didn't realize where I went. They thought, Hashem, it just grabbed from earth and disappeared. So I'm in there treading water, not water, sorry, whatever it is, Chaya, treading. It was thick stuff, so I was able to float. And I remember thinking that's it, it's all over, swallowing a little bit of it and hula. And then this is actually in a book of Nachman Seltzer. It's called Saved by the Flush or something like that. And there it goes. I don't know what it was, but there was a surge. Now I'm assuming somebody flushed the toilet. And the surge like lifted me up a little bit that my head hit the plank of wood. Just a crack, and I was able to scream. And Yitzi Sussman and whoever was there, who was a Rebbe now in Sheyoshev, heard the scream and realized that I was below the piece of wood, but they couldn't lift the piece of wood. They didn't have the muscle that Stefansky had. So they ran back to the bungalow colony and they got my father. Now, my father and mother heard that I'm in a cesspool. My mother started running on that shalom and she tripped and broke her leg. So I told over the story to Simcha Edelman, who was here, and he didn't believe me. So he went and he asked the Rosh Hashiva of Shmuel Brazil, is it true? And he says, yeah, he was there and he heard it. Boy said, Rabbi Shmuel Brazil is in the room right now. You got to come to the front. Shmuel, do I have to come to you? Come here. The Rishim is there. What an ace. This mission that we're learning, no? It's not an ace. There's a shidduch process and everything. Here. First of all, Shema Chaya for being there trying to save my life. Is it a true story? True story. Say louder.
A true story.
Go ahead, God for coming. All right. Wow. Thank you. Oh, in all the I forgot to show the picture of the tzaddik that wrote the email that I was in the middle of the thing. Yesterday I made a mistake. When I was talking, I was saying mechuvanis means they're mechuvan. They're one on top of the other. Instead, I said that to the side, whatever. I don't know what I said. I didn't go back, but I got 4 emails and Baruch Hashem was paying attention. Here's a quick picture of the group picture that we took in Miami. Yishkar for everybody that attended. Oh, and since what is this? This is probably a record. The most time that we spent before even starting the Gemara. This is the beautiful invitation that they made for the Shever Brachas in New York. I'll read it to you. Thursday, August 5th at 7 p.m. Zemmer Hall, 1325 38th Street in Brooklyn, New York. Lavish buffet dinner, music, entertainment, followed by kumzitz and a live share. The Olam is putting it together, and whoever wants to donate to the cause and could afford, and this is welcome to be mishtatef. Okay, tomorrow's shir, by the way, 12 p.m. right here in this room. I'm doing it early because I have to make it to the hotel somehow for Shabbos. So 12 o'clock. Here we go. Here says the Mishnah. Daf Chav Beis, Amud Beis on the bottom. Brand new Mishnah, brand new Masechta. Shui, if you want, you can turn to Chav Gimel Amud Beis and take a peek over there and you'll see we're doing okay. Says the Mishnah. If somebody makes a sukkah, he builds a sukkah on top of a wagon. I don't know if I'm going to see a picture, but we have a picture anyway. All these things, you have pictures. It's beautiful. There you go. It's on top of a wagon. Oh. Is there a problem with a Lubavitcher sukkah in our days on the back of a pickup truck? Now, if you do it on a wagon, it's okay. How about the back of a pickup truck on Yom Tov? You go on to the pickup truck and you shake up the pickup truck. Is that a problem on Shabbos? Usually you're not allowed to move a pickup truck on Shabbos. I have some pictures for you, just in case you want to know what it looks like. First of all, I thought this picture is amazing. A bunch of guys with sukkahs on their bike. So I'm not going to ask that question. What about this? Here's your pickup truck, your guy on the pickup truck. The answer is that it's mutter on Shabbos and Yom Tov because it's a klishim melach b'lisav, it's fine to go on a pickup truck on Shabbos. Or if the sukkah was on top of the ship, that's even worse than on the deck of the ship because on top it's a lot windier, and that's the discussion in the Gemara. Since it's windy and the sukkah could blow away, maybe that's not a proper sukkah. Nevertheless, it's kosher. You can go onto a wagon, that's for sure not mukta, on a ship also. The Gemara, Rashi points out, it's only because of the second part of the mission that I even have to say this part that you can go on Shabbos. However, there's an isser to go on a tree on Yom Tov. So if you build a sukkah, you see, isn't that crazy that the Refuah that knows the story just happened to walk in? This is what I was trying to build. Then the story was that I looked at my father and I said, Abba, I left my yarmulke in the cesspool. He's like, it's okay. It's Beseder. Yeah, okay. Anyway. That's where all the stories start. I was only 4 years old. I was like, life of stories. A sukkah on top of a camel. These are good, but you cannot go on a camel on Shabbos. So you can't go on the sukkah on Shabbos. The concern is that you're going to rip off a twig from a tree and whack it on a tree also. You know, we're concerned you're going to break off a branch. What if it's, for the most part, on the tree, and one of its legs, like in this picture right over here, is human-made? It's a kosher sukkah because you need to come onto the tree for it to stand, so it's still considered it's on the tree. However, if three walls are made by man, like so, for the most part, it can stand on its own. It just happens to be there's a little support from a tree, so then it's different. It's Kshera, then you can go on Yontif because you're not really going onto a tree. You're going onto 3 platforms, and the 4th one is a tree, so it doesn't really count that tree. Zaklau says the Mishnah, Daf Yomi Succah Daf. If you can remove the tree and it will stand by itself, Kshera. You know, I just thought about this. There's a halacha also that when you daven Shemona Esrei, you shouldn't be leaning on anything. So the klal is, if I take the table away and you fall on your face, then it's usher. If you're just like putting your fingers there, then it's okay. Unless a person is elderly and he needs that support, of course. Okay, says the Gemara. So if you could remove the tree and the sukkah continues to stand, then it's not an issue b'chlal. Then it's 100% kosher. You can go on Yom. Says Gemara, Mani Masnisin Reb Akiva. Our Mishnah goes according to Reb Akiva, the Stanya. If a person makes his sukkah on top of a ship, and it was very common, as we're going to see, Ma'aser Chaya, Reb Gamliel Poisel. Reb Gamliel says no good. Reb Akiva Machshri says it's good. What's the issue? Ma'aser Reb Gamliel, Reb Akiva Shoyikbayim Besfina. Interesting. They were going on. I wonder where they were going exactly. They lived in Bavel. Where they lived in Israel. Where are they going exactly on a ship? I don't know. Reb Akiva was in time of the Mikdash. Is there Israel? He said, okay. They were going on ships. Omar Reb Akiva v'asa sukkah b'rosh hasfina. He went. He placed his sukkah where he was able to. They gave him a little spot. They said, do it on top of the captain's quarters. I don't know what. On top of the sfina. The machor nashma ruach v'karta, comes a wind, blew it away. Omar Reb Gamliel says, Reb Gamliel, look, we're always the same as Jews. We used to stuck each other all the way back then. Akiva, hechen sukkah. Where's your sukkah, buddy? Well, I don't know, buddy, chas v'shalom, but Akiva, you used it, they're friends. Akiva, where's your sukkah? In other words, you didn't just say, where's your sukkah? Like, I told you you're not allowed to make a sukkah like that. It doesn't count. Why? Because exactly this reason. If the wind is going to come and blow it away, it's the ocean. The ocean has very strong winds. There's no mountains. There are no buildings stopping the wind. There's a lot of wind. So Menachem, I hold it's possible such a sukkah, and here's the proof. The proof is in the put. It's literally the exact reason why I say that this sukkah is possible is the reason that you see with your own eyes. With Ma'aser Chaya, your sukkah blew away. Hechen sukkah, love it. Amar Abai. Says Abaya 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 lines down. If this, you build a sukkah where a typical wind comes, you have the typical wind and not so typical. A common wind. If your sukkah cannot stand to the common wind on the ground, in other words, common wind, like Lumi, it's not even a sukkah. Your sukkah has to be sturdy enough to withhold your common 30-mile-per-hour winds, whatever common is. And if it could withstand an uncommon wind, 55 miles an hour, whatever that is, Rashi points out, Eina Mitsuya the Abasha is equal to Mitsuya of Yam. In other words, on the ocean, your winds are going to be the uncommon winds of the ground. Let's just pick a number. If 55 miles an hour is uncommon in Chicago, that's common on the ocean. That's normal for the ocean. If it can withstand 55 miles an hour, so then it's a perfect sukkah. Nobody could argue on that, even if you built it on the ship. Whatever the girsa here is, the point is when it could withstand typical winds of the ground, but not the typical winds of the ocean. What's the concern here? Do you have to build the sukkah? Let's say you're in Africa. In Africa, they have very strong winds, let's say. I don't know where. You live in Malibu, California, on the beach. And over there, I understand that they probably have good winds there because they have good surfing. That's what David Agal told me, the guy that came to visit me, just to say Mazel. So I just made that up. Could be that they don't have wind at all. But let's just say there's certain places in the world that have strong winds all the time. Does that mean you have to build a stronger sukkah there? That's the question here. That you say yes, he says no. Reb Akiva says no. I'm on the ocean. Could I build a sukkah that's typical for this world? Does Hashem say, build a sukkah that can withstand 30 miles per hour wind, and if you live in Africa, it's 30 miles, and if you live on the ocean, it's 30 miles, or no? Every individual place, you have to build a sukkah for that individual place. You say, common sense says that each place you should have to build it for what it has to withstand. I hear. Reb Gamliel says the sukkah has to be sturdy, kavua. And since I'm going to slow down here because Jeffrey's listening, maybe other people. Since it cannot withstand the common wind of the ocean, which is, as Rashi explained, the uncommon wind of the ground, like lumi. It's not even a sukkah because you're on the ocean now. And you did not build a sukkah that satisfies the current, the current conditions that are necessary for where you are right now. Like lumi, so it's nothing. Reb Akiva says not like that. Sukkah diras aribinam. You are coming, if you hold that a sukkah has to be, that was the whole machlokes. 8 man do amrim that say that a sukkah has to be solid, like Reb Yehuda and Reb Shimon and all these people, they held like that. But the common and the halachas, you don't do pela. It doesn't have to be that strong. So Reb Akiva said sukkahs diras aribinam. It only has to be a temporary dwelling. And the abasha, since it can withstand a normal wind of regular earth, ground, Chaya, I don't have to concern myself about the crazy winds on the ocean, even though I am at sea right now. Okay, next sugya. If you didn't understand that, we have a brand new sugya, as if nothing happened before. If you built a sukkah on top of a camel, masnisimani, who does our Mishnah go according to? Says the Gemara, Rebbe Meir, he is, by the way, most Mishnayos that are anonymous are Rebbe Meir. Our Mishnah fits right into Rebbe Meir. If you build your sukkah on top of an animal, for instance, it's a little different than before. You put 2 doors down and you build a nice sukkah on top of animals. Rebbe Meir, Machshir, review the Poisel. Here's Rebbe Meir. Rebbe Meir says it's kosher. Rebbe Yehuda says it's Poisel. My time is the Rebbe Yehuda. Why does Rebbe Yehuda say it's no good or makra? We had a halacha similar to this. What if you have schach, you put schach on that's going to wither away within 3-4 days? Is it kosher for the first day? No. You have to make sure that the schach is good enough for the 7 days. I only need it for 1 day, and on the 3rd day I'm traveling to New York. I don't need it for more than 3 days. No good. It has to be good for 7 days from the get-go. So if I have a sukkah that I cannot jump on during Yom Tov, the first day of sukkahs I can't go on it. Why? Because it's an animal. So now I have a sukkah that's only good for 6 days or less. Maybe Shabbos also in the middle. I don't know when Shabbos is. So if I can't climb into the sukkah. Why? Because it's on an animal, so it's not Chag HaSukkos Yomim. It's not a sukkah that's proper for 7 days. If it's not good for 7 days, it's not a sukkah. Remeir comes Remeir and says, beautiful. What do you mean I can't go on it? I could go on it. According to the Torah, I can go on it 7 days a week. Rabbanon who the gazruba. This is a special gzeira. Chacham said, don't go on a tree. Don't go on an animal because you might rip off a branch from a tree. But with the Raisa, I got a kosher sukkah. So is that considered, let's say, it's not a good example, but let's say I have a broken leg. I can't climb onto the sukkah. So it's not a good sukkah. There's something zaytik, something on the side that's preventing me from going into the sukkah called a gzeira de rabbanon. But the Torah says that this is a good sukkah, so perhaps it's a good sukkah. But the Torah says you have to listen to Chachamim. Whatever they say, okay, fine. Says the Gemara, I saw the Behemoth from the sukkah. Listen to this sukkah, one of the funniest sukkahs in Shas. What if you don't have plastic? In the time of the Gemara, they didn't have plastic, they didn't have materials. It's just hard to come by, all the stuff. So guy has an unbelievable idea. He's missing some wood, and he says, listen, I can't use my animals anyways on Yom Tov, so I have a great idea. Let me take my animal. I'm sure Peter's going to love this Gemara. I take my animal and tie him and make him a wall. Poor animal. He has to stand there 7 days straight. Can't move. Now, what about, could he sit down? Well, we're going to see. He won't be able to sit either. Why? Because the Gemara in a second is going to say, what about between his legs, his ear, more than 3 tvachim? It's not loving. Oh, he's going to put spikes and stuff. This Nebuch animal, unbelievable. And it gets even better. Listen, it's all theoretical. These are not like, people didn't really do this. But let's say I want to do something like this. Does it work? Does it not work? I mean, like a lot of Gemara. Doesn't mean that somebody actually did this and didn't get killed by PETA or whatever. That his wife didn't say, are you mashuk? I'm not sitting in a sukkah next to a cow. Whatever. Okay, fine. Remeir Poisel review the Machshir. Shaya Remeir Oimer. Okay, let's read it again. Asal la behema doifin l'sukkah. It's crazy stuff. Here we go. If you want to see what it looks like, here's a sheep acting as your third wall. You have two walls, and the third wall is a sheep. Depends what. We'll see everything in a second. Remeir says this is a puzzle sukkah review the machshir. The opposite of what we had before, right? So Remeir called davar shesh beruach Chaim. Something that has life to it. In oisin oisai ledoifin l'sukkah. You cannot make a wall of a sukkah with it. So this is an old story, I guess. People tried this trick before. Again, the lumber yard is closed there of Shabbos. I have a problem. I need to use my mobile on Shabbos. I have a bar mitzvah coming up. What do? I look around. I don't have anything in my house. What do I have? I have a goat. I have a camel. I take my camel. I place him by the entrance to the mobile. And this is supposed to be my recognition, my hecker, that this is the end of the mobile. Don't go into the shroud. People are going to ask, why is there a camel tied right at the entrance to the mobile? I'm going to say, that is my lechi. A naith, I didn't make him into a kaira, hang him up 10 feet above, stretch him out from side to side. Okay. I don't know. It's a pretty big lechi. Listen, a lechi could be a quarter of an inch, and this thing is 600 pounds. I don't know. Look, we went through these halachas. It's just great to do a review. So in the time of the Mishnah, when people would walk and travel crazy distances to get to Yerushalayim 3 times a year for every yontif, they needed to draw water from the wells. And sometimes the well was smack in the middle of Rosh Hashanah. You cannot draw water from Rosh Hashanah from the private domain into the public domain. So what do? You make 4 L-shaped brackets. Each one is an amma long. The Gemara, we're going to learn a little bit more about Chavdalit. Again, you ran out of wood, and you got to think about what these people lived through. They didn't have plastic. They didn't have garbage bags. They didn't have tarps. They didn't have this kind of stuff that we have today. And they didn't have wood. Look, in Israel, it's very hard to come by wood. Wood is very expensive, and it doesn't really grow in Israel. They force it, whatever. So they had cows. I'm going to use a cow for my dumen. Next. What? Yeah, globally this year, something like this is $79 for an L-shaped bracket. I get it, yeah. Well, yeah, of course, we had it in this Musaf also. We had it in this Musaf. This is very interesting. The cover of a grave has tremendous amount of tumah, and if you take a live animal, and I found this from Erevin, I picked up this picture in Erevin. You take an animal, you make him the cover of a grave. This is one time that an animal can become tamei. It itself, as a live animal, can become tamei if it is the cover of a grave, according to not everybody, as we see over here. This man Domer holds not the cover of a caver. There are others, and I think it's probably the halacha that it does become the goylo. It does become tamei. One time, it's a nice riddle. How does an animal become tamei? It's alive. Can't become tamei. If it is the goylo kever, and then we had over there when we learned it, Machlokes Rashi in the Rambam. What if the animal picks itself up and walks away from the kever? Does the tumah dissipate or not? Machlokes Rishonim. Some, I think it's Rashi that holds that it stays forever. Okay. That's a little. I'm telling you, this is from the funniest things ever. A guy decides to be nice to his ex-wife, a divorce on the animal itself. Give her the whole animal. Here you go. Can't do that. It's not even a prank. Maybe it is a prank. Yeah, honey, I got you a gift. Here's a nice cow. She's all excited, and she takes one look, and there's 12 lines of a divorce bill on it. Givaldic. Yeah. Okay. My time with the Remeir. Why not? The concern is we're concerned of the possibility that the animal might die. So here we're going to go into a little bit of a sugya. Do we ever concern ourselves with death? Is that a concern? People are alive. Animals are alive. Do we have to be concerned that somebody might die tomorrow in 5 minutes? Will the animal die? Maybe. Why should I be concerned? Animals usually live. Why am I concerned? It's only 7 days. What's the big deal? I've been tied up many times for 7 days straight in one spot with sticks underneath my stomach. and not being fed. It's not a big deal. It happens. Shema Tivrach. Reb Eli Shema Tivrach. We're concerned, maybe he might run away. So Reb Eli say, oh, I love this. Here's a sugya. This is a psychological thing. You know what this is? This is an elephant lifting up a car. It's a joke. I've seen videos of an elephant picking up a motorcycle and tossing it literally 30 feet or something. An elephant can do this. You know what else an elephant can do? It could take a really mature tree and uproot a tree. Just uproot a whole tree. And no problem. Yet, there's something called baby elephant syndrome. What is that? That is, if you tie an elephant, that's what they say at least. I'm not an aide to this, but even if it's not true, the idea is very true. And that is, if you train an elephant from when it's a baby, and you tie him to a pole with a rope, and he cannot get out of it, he tries and tries hundreds of times. So you condition his mind that if he's tied to a rope, to a small pole, he can't get out. So if you take a 7-ton elephant that was conditioned like that, and this is what they say, it's called baby elephant syndrome, and you tie him to a tiny little pole with a little rope, he will not run away because he won't even try. He could do this. He could snap a mature tree in half with his thing. Even a dog could get out of this pole. He won't. Why? Because he's conditioned. Why did I tell you this? Because I think, if you think about it, there are so many things in our life that we don't do. I speak to many people about real estate, about learning Torah. I can't do it. Shas is too much for me. But who told you? It's something that you condition yourself. We are our biggest enemy. We have baby elephant syndrome, if you think about it. Why don't you do this deal? I can't. It's too much money. It's too much this. Why don't you jump to another career? I can't. All these things. And in Torah also. Why can't you do it? I can't. Why? Who told you you can't? No, it's way too much. $2,000. It's the commitment, the day to every single day to I can't do it. But it's all in here. So you told yourself that you can't do it when you were younger or whatever it is. Somebody told you you were conditioned like that, and Menachem can't do it. Think about it in different areas of your life, and you'll be a better person. Because there are many things that we can overcome if we just understand that the reason why we don't do X, Y, Z is because of some nourisher thing. MS? It's true. How did I get to this? I saw this line over here. Bepil kosher, if an elephant is tied, kuli alma loy pligi, everybody agrees, dinami mayis, yesh benivlasoi asara. Even if the elephant topples over where he's at, he's so large. I have a picture of Stam, why not? Talking about the safari and a bunch of lions, they are on a carcass of an elephant. It's huge. Even if he's dead, he's more than 10 tefachim, I guarantee you. I've seen it up close and personal. So the whole machlokes is elephant that's not tied. According to the Mendel, it says we are concerned that it might die. We're not concerned because since it's not tied, it might run away. And not might, it will. What is run? Why would an elephant stand in one spot for 7 days? So it's going to move. But according to the Mendel, it says that we're concerned about death. Shouldn't you be more concerned about running away? What's more common? Elephant to take off or elephant to die? Taking off, because elephants take off every minute of their life. They're constantly on the move. So obviously, that's more common. So how come he's not concerned about running away? Says Gemara, so we have to say, if the elephant is not tied, everybody agrees that he's going to run away. That is a very big concern. It's not a concern, it's a guarantee. So the whole machlokes is an animal that's tied. Lamanda Omar, according to the Manda Omar, that says Gzeir Shem Thomas. Abaye who says Gzeir Shem Thomas. Chayshinon. I have to be concerned. Maybe the animal will die, and I won't have a wall. He'll just plop down the wall. Zera says that we're concerned about running away. Not concerned. But according to Menachem, it says we're concerned about running away. How come he's not concerned about death? Says the Gemara, Misa happens once in an elephant's lifetime, and it's not going to happen today. Why should I be so concerned? Elephants live how long? 30, 40 years maybe? I don't know. So how long do the elephants live for? 50, 70-year-old elephants, he says. Okay? Baby knows his stuff. They never forget. Ask the Gemara, but what about between the animal's legs? If it's a taller animal, it's not a good wall. You don't have love. What are you going to do? Again, this is all theoretical. There are people, I'm not going to make fun of my wife anymore. So there's people like my wife's sister who would ask, nobody in the right mind, why are we learning this in the Gemara? It's not important. The point is, we have to know these halachas because maybe it could apply in other areas and other things, and it's just cool to learn the stuff. But what about lavod? That's the Gemara. No, this is not. It's a Rahmanas. Here's a sheep. We put poles underneath it, and or leaves. Do whatever you need to do. Jeffrey doesn't like it. He's shaking his head. This is crazy. I'm calling Peter. Don't call Peter yet. Hold on a second. We're not done. It gets better, Jeff. Maybe it's going to want to take a little nap. Animals like to nap also. Says the Gemara, don't worry about it. I'm serious. This is literally a Gemara to talk to my wife. But what about this? Okay, I took care of that problem. But what about that? And who's going to feed it? I'm going to bring a babysitter. And what about, we're going to go through all the steps here. What about the fact that I might want to sit down? Oh, I have a great idea. I'm going to tie it with chains to the roof of the thing. It's great. I'm telling you, it's one of the funniest Gemaras of all time. So if you're already coming, the Gemara is smart over here. The Gemara says, oh, you think you have a good idea? You came up with a great hop. Oh, great invention. You could tie him to the roof. So how come that doesn't work when he dies? This goat, if it dies, what's your concern? It's going to die. And if it's going to die, what? It's going to plop down. It won't plop down because it's tied. So how did you make a difference if you're so smart and you know that I could get away with tying this animal and it's going to avoid him taking a nap? So how come this doesn't work for a dead animal? Says the Gemara, because I'm talking about the craziest of the craziest cases. I'm trying to invoke the concept of love it over here. It's exactly 3 tefachim. Here's the great picture. They went to the Impala. And it's a deer, whatever. But this, if you go to safari, they have these guys all the time. This is the McDonald's of the lions in safari. The lions don't like it so much. Not such great meat, they say. But if there's so many of them over there and they're easy to. They're very fast, but whatever. So we'll call this. This looks like an Impala, but it's not really. Okay. So he ties him up. Here's his hutzei over here. It's great. He has a 3 tefachim, but it's exactly 3 tefachim to the schach. What happens is, since he's dead, you know what happens to an animal if it dies and it has to be there for 7 days? First of all, it smells geschmack, but it starts shriveling. The Akiva the Maisa Kafta, Velavadaite. He's not going to pay attention. Everything else is great. The sukkah smells good. His wife is happy. The animal died. It's hanging perfectly at the right amount. So he's not going to think about maybe it shriveled a little bit. So now it has a little bit of a shrivel. Okay, great. We're done with that sugya. Whoever has issues, we'll speak about it later. Yeah, we just turned to the Daf Amud Beis, sponsored by the MDY Tehillim group. For all those who need shidduchim, Refuahs, and Yeshuas, please join tehillim.8mindaf.com. Says Gemara, I forgot to pull out my clock. Let's see if I have it here. Oh, it matters. We have to know if we're going to go right through Chavdal and Uman Aleph all the way to the bottom or stop on the top. Says the Gemara, did Abaye really say that it's Reb Meir who's concerned about death? And in fact, the Gemara is going to flip it around. That's the Gemara's answer. So Reb Meir, Abaye says, is concerned the animal might die. Reb Yehuda is not concerned about death. We don't have to be concerned today about death. We have to be concerned about death. Obviously, we think about it a lot, and that's why we do tshuva, and we learn a lot of Torah, we do a lot of chesed, but not today. Basnan, we learned in the Mishnah, Bas Yisrael shenisas l'koyin. If Yisraelis marries a koyin, v'holach Baila Medina Chaya. Now, it's great to see this chart again, and every time we can show this chart, we see it again and again and again. For the new guys, it's great. For the old guys, they're sick and tired of it. If you have produce, you have 100 apples, you have to give the kohen 2%, approximately, let's call it 2%. Now you are left with, this is tithing, 10%, the 10% that we get from, but it's based on this. 2% goes to the kohen. Now you're left with 98%. You give 10% of that to the Levi, and that's called Meiser Risa. And the Levi does step 3. We're not concerned about the Levi. He has to give 10% of what he got to the Chaya, which is 1%. Then, after that, we do Meiser Sheni. Shemitah has 7 years. So in year 1, 2, 4, 5, you give 10% to who? To yourself. But if you can't carry that produce up to Yerushalayim because it's too heavy, you can redeem it in cash, bring the cash to Yerushalayim, and buy whatever you want with it, food-wise. Okay, so this woman marries a kohen. So now she can eat truma. If he dies and they don't have children together, she cannot eat truma anymore. She goes back to her father's home. She's a regular Yisraelis. So if her husband goes on a business trip, and think about it, they used to go for years sometimes at a time. Mamish, if they had to go across the ocean, they didn't come back a week later. They didn't have cell phones. There was no telegrams. You don't know if the guy made it or not. Maybe he's dead. So how could she eat truma? Maybe her husband is no longer alive. How many stories do we have that husbands went? Even the younger guys used to get married and go to yeshiva for a whole year, come back once a year on Yom Kippur when they were really young. It was common practice. No communication, nothing. No letters, no cell phones. Maybe he's dead. And if he's dead, how could she eat this truma? She can continue eating truma. Because a human being has a chazaka, we have to say, if he's alive today, he's going to be alive tomorrow. There's a chazaka, concept of chazaka. And we ask the question, if a person wants to divorce his wife, it's a conditional divorce. They stay married, but a minute before he dies, the divorce goes into effect, the get goes into effect. Why would somebody do something like that? To avoid Yibum, says Dr. Dauber. Very good. To avoid Yibum. If a person dies childless, then his wife falls to Yibum to his brother. So he wants to avoid that. He doesn't want his wife to go through that sorry. He chaps who his brother is. So he writes a divorce. And he says, I'm not divorcing you today. Don't worry about it. But if I die, 5 minutes before I died, you're divorced. And Menachem, a divorced woman doesn't fall to the brother. And that's why he does so. So, in that case, can she eat truma at any given moment? If she eats truma now, what if her husband dies now and she was divorced 5 minutes before that? It's always retroactive, 5 minutes or whatever is nice. The halacha is asura lechol betruma miyad. She has to stop eating truma immediately because at any given moment her husband dies, could die, and at that point the get will go into effect a few moments before he died because that was the condition of the get. And we don't have a chazaka of cheskes Chaim, that he's alive. So we asked that contradiction there, and Abai says not a contradiction. So Abai says, Remeir holds, we're not concerned with death. Over here he said Reb Meir is concerned of death. It's the reverse, right? It's Reb Meir who says, I'm not concerned about death, and therefore, if my husband is in Medina Sayam, he's overseas, I can continue eating truma every minute. Why? Because a person has a chazak, he's alive. But the other case of Yibo, I give a conditional get, then I'm concerned that the guy's going to die any minute because it's not Reb Meir. I'm sorry, that's Reb Meir is the one that says I'm concerned with death, and he's the one that says that she can't eat right away by Yibo. Rabbi Yehuda, I mess it up yet. It's Reb Meir who says I'm not concerned about death, and Rabbi Yehuda the Chayish Lemisa. In the case of Yibum, we're concerned about death. That's Rabbi Yehuda. In the case of a husband overseas, we're not concerned about death, and she can eat truma as much as she wants, is Rabbi Meir. Okay. The Sanya. This is a famous Gemara. We had this a number of times. Kusim. Kusim, we know what Kusim are, but just to repeat, why not? Hazara. A Kusi, there was a whole nation of people that came and they became converts, became Gerim, and Machlokes throughout Shas. Are they real or they're fakers? Is it because they were just scared of death and that's why they became Jews? Or they really wanted to be Jews? The bottom line is they weren't very good Jews. They never were. They always, and then at a certain point, they were even doing Avodah Zarah, that their Yayin became Yayin Nesa. So when the Gemara over here says that if you buy wine from a Kusi, it says Rashi before they invoke that Gzeira that you cannot buy wine from a Kusi, it's not Yayin Nesa yet. Later on, in later generations, it became Yayin Nesa. Says the Bryna that if you buy wine from a Kusi, and you don't have a way to separate Trumas and Maisrus, right? If you live in Israel now, the wine has to have Maisrus, Trumas and Maisrus. So if you have a hashana, it's great. If not, you shouldn't buy it anyway. But let's say you want to take your chazanishnik, so you pour off whatever you do. But they have like money on the side, stuff on the side, and that's how they do it. So he says over here also, he doesn't have a kli, he doesn't have a cup where you can pour some of the bottle into it and say, okay, this part over here I'm going to give later on to the Chaya and to the and all the stuff that he needs to do. He doesn't have that ability. So what does he do? He does Bryna, which is you could retroactively decide I'm going to drink as much as I want from this bottle, and retroactively I'm going to say that whatever is left over, that is what I separated for the Chaim, etc. So I could drink. It's not within every drop. It's whatever I leave over. What's the problem with this? They didn't have plastic bottles then. You know what they had? They had leather. They had stuff like that. What if it explodes? And then I have no Trumas and Maisrus. What do I do? So he says, now he has 100 lug. 100 lug. How much does he have to give from 100 lug? 2%. He has to give 2 lug. So 2 lug that I'm going to give out of this bottle is going to be the truma, the first part I give to the Chaya. Asara, the next 10, which is really 9.8, because there's only 98 lugin left. I'm giving Meiser Rishon, which is 10% to the Levi. Tisha Meiser Sheni. How much I am left with now? 88.2. So I have to give 8.8 to myself, which is number 4 over here, Meiser Sheni. I give to myself. Or Meiser Ani in years 3 and 6. Thank you. I didn't do this chart enough. Tisha, the Gemara calls 8.8 9 because he rounded off. Tisha Meiser Sheni. Umeichal, and he takes the Meiser Sheni and he puts it on money. He says this because that you can do right away. V'shoisim miyad, and he drinks from the wine right away. Divrei Meir, that's called Bryna. I could retroactively decide which part of it is going to be Truma and Meiser later on. Rabbi Yehuda. So here you have Rabbi Meir saying, I'm not concerned that this is going to explode. This is going to be destroyed. I'm not going to have leftover. And Rabbi Yehuda, over here, Rabbi Yehuda all of a sudden is concerned that the battle is going to break. Somebody that's concerned about a bottle breaking is certainly concerned about an animal dying. It's more far-fetched to say that something is going to break than to say that an animal that usually dies anyways. Not every bottle breaks, but every animal dies. So if he's concerned for breaking, he's going to be concerned the breaking of the neshama, of dying. Says the Gemara, Epo, with Daf Chof Dal Uman Aleph on the top, second line down. Epo, you're right. We have to flip it around. It's Reb Meir Chaya Shlemisa, like it says on top of Chof Amud Beis. Reb Meir was the one. Abai is the one that said that Reb Meir holds. I'm concerned about that. It's just flipping the names now. Over here, you see that Reb Yehuda is concerned about that based on the bottle, and it's Reb Meir who says, I'm not concerned about bottle breaking. And he's not concerned about bottle breaking, but he's concerned about death. Right? Think about it. Reb Meir doesn't care about breaking bottles, but he cares about death. He's concerned an elephant is going to drop dead, but he doesn't think the bottle is going to break open. Doesn't make sense. So therefore, Epoch, Reb Meir Chaya Shlemisa, Reb Yehuda Loi Chaya Shlemisa. The Sanya, we'll just learn one more line. The Sanya, sukkah. If you make an animal into a sukkah, Reb Meir Paisel, because I'm concerned about death. So Reb Meir is Chayshish Shlemisa. Reb Yehuda Machsher. Reb Yehuda says it's a kosher sukkah because I'm not concerned about the animal dying. So in fact, these are shilas, whatever it is. It's a shilah, not so much for the wall of the sukkah. We're talking about making an animal into a wall of a sukkah so that you remember the sugya. But it has to do with, could I write a divorce on an animal? Could I do certain things with an animal? Am I concerned about human beings dying? About animals dying? Do I have to be concerned at every given moment, maybe this guy's going to drop dead? Maybe not. The boys, I have a wonderful evening tomorrow, Be'ezer Hashem, at 12 o'clock, Chicago time, which is 1 o'clock, New York time. I'll see you there. Have a wonderful evening.
What's the Shabbos?
Yeah, it's question of mute though.
Eli, one Motzi Shabbos.
Oh, Motzi Shabbos, I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be in the hotel, but it's going to be pretty much the same time. Like, I should make it 11:15 Chicago time, Motzi Shabbos, so that it's 7:15 in Eretz Yisrael. That's probably what we're going to do. Sunday is the wedding. Oh, I have to announce it. I have to figure out what I'm doing. There's going to be a share. There's going to be a share on Sunday.